Hi, it's Stan Morrical, Morrical Financial Services, coming to you from our offices in beautiful Burlingame, California, with views of the San Francisco Airport and San Francisco Bay. I've just finished a book, and I have to tell you that I read the book in 4 sittings. And the title of the book is Bad Blood by John Carreyrou, and the subtitle even makes it more interesting. The subtitle is Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup. Bad Blood, Secrets and Lies in a Silicon Valley Startup by John Carreyrou. John is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal. I went and heard John speak about the book last week, and it was fascinating. I bought the book, and again, I picked it up. I had a hard time putting it down, but I knew I had to go to sleep on the nights when I picked it up. The book, in case you're not familiar with it or not aware of it, it's about the story of Theranos and Elizabeth Holmes. Theranos was a company started by Elizabeth Holmes back in 2003 down in Palo Alto. Elizabeth had dropped out of Stanford just after her freshman year and put together a business plan. In a very noble effort, she wanted to change the way we do blood testing in this country. Now, I won't ruin the end of the book for you, but a couple things I will tell you about in the course of this in the course of this video. What if I came to you and I said, "Gee, I have a company whose board includes luminaries such as George Shultz and Henry Kissinger, and other former cabinet secretaries and senators of both political parties, by the way. What if I said the lawyer of this firm, the corporate law firm, is Boies Schiller, and David Boies actually acts as a personal lawyer for the firm in many instances, very high-profile lawyer here in the country. What if I said to you, the firm has signed contracts to partner with Walgreens and Safeway for hundreds of millions of dollars in commitments to hire the firm, to partner with the firm. Not only that, welcome the firm into their locations to do blood tests on their customers. What if I also said to you, you'll be investing alongside such high-profile and wealthy investors such as Rupert Murdoch, who's invested $125 million, in a San Francisco hedge fund who had invested $96 million. Cumulatively, by the way, ultimately Theranos took in, I think, close to about $900 million in investments, which ultimately valued the firm at around $9 billion. So at its peak, and of course it was a private company, so it never went public, but at least on paper, Elizabeth Holmes, who owned a little over 50% of the firm, was on paper worth about $4.5 billion. What if I said to you, in addition to these investors, Elizabeth Holmes, the founder and CEO, has had cover stories, feature stories written about her in Forbes and Fortune? You'd say, well, gee, that sounds like a no-brainer. It must be the deal of the century. What if I told you you could get in cheap? You'd think, wow, that must be the deal of the century. That'd be very, very impressive. Well, what if I told you that, I will tell you this, Rupert Murdoch ended up selling his $125 million investment. The shares that he bought for $125 million, he sold back to the firm for $1 in order just to take the tax write-off. So what I will tell you is, without ruining the end of the story, if you decide to read the book, is that in spite of all this, in spite of everything that would have led you to believe that this was a promising, it was obviously well-funded, but a promising business with lots of reputed people attached to it, to a large extent it turned out to be a fraud. And I was reminded when I finished the book of a book we introduced to you earlier in this series of videos, and that is by Richard Thaler. Richard Thaler won the Nobel Prize in Economics last year in 2017. This book is called Misbehaving, and it's the making of behavioral economics. And I often say about this, just in quick summary, and that is that what Thaler tells us is what we think we know and why we think we know is often wrong. And I thought of that immediately when putting together this and thinking about all of the credibility markers that most of us would normally use in establishing whether or not something makes sense. Certainly in the business community, these credibility markers are very, very impressive. But in fact, each one sort of built on another that led to its own problematic enhancement of things that weren't there. I will tell you one thing is that in many instances, a lot of these investors never did get audited financials. And of course, that would be a big issue. I'm going to read just quickly from the thing in Thaler's Misbehaving. And that is simply, more importantly, our misbehavior has serious consequences. Dismissed at first by economists as an amusing sideshow, the study of human miscalculations and their efforts on markets now drives efforts to make better decisions in our lives, our businesses, and our governments. So that's how important I think that is. How does this impact 401ks? Well, during periods of market volatility, and we've had some market volatility recently, we often get calls. And it's that same sort of, and those are about publicly traded companies, obviously. These are about the indexes moving up and down. The indexes do reflect real businesses that are public businesses, and they're moving around in price. So we often get these calls. And it gets back to this whole notion of what do we know, what do we understand, and what do we think we know, and what do we think we understand. I thought this was so appropriate in terms of the story about Theranos that I wanted to tie it into this, because one of the things that we think is, and just in noting that some of these investors did not get audited financials, we think there's a number of questions that we think you should ask as both a plan sponsor, as an investor, as an employee participant in the plan. We want you to think about, ask about, and we want to help you find the answers for that. So at the end of the day, you go through this, and it's a fascinating book, and if you're like me, I literally read it in about 4 or 5 sittings. I couldn't put it down when I picked it up. But oftentimes it comes down to the right questions to ask and the answers that we need to get. So fear not, we're here. We'd love to chat with you about what you're doing, about how you're helping, working with your employees, tools that we can use to help them have confidence in the things that they're doing. We have some wonderful tools today that we can use, including a program called Financial Finesse that really uses individual advisors to help your employees get the most out of their plan and achieve long-term financial success. So we'd love to chat with you. I look forward to hearing from you, and we hope to talk with you soon. Thanks again for your time, and we appreciate you watching.